Here we are back on the 206 project. As you can see, it's well underway from our first video. We've started pulling it apart now. Just thought I'd talk you through some of the really quirky things that we found that you'll only find on a 206. Okay, so here we are moving around the front, things we found around here. These should have vented discs. We've got vented discs on the rear and we've got solid discs on the front. Now these should have vented discs on the front, so we're guessing someone's changed these. I mean, the car is like 1968, it's been around a while. But they're probably the thickest solid discs we've ever seen, so they're huge, but we get those sorted. Other things that are quite nice on the early cars is little grease nipples. I know this is me being anal again. You get the nice grease nipples on the ball joints that you just don't get anymore. They're all sealed for life now, so we'll see if we can refurbish those. Something else you only see on the alley cars, apart from all this gunge here that you can see, this little piece of wire, the wings are wire wrapped. There's a piece of steel wire which this one's all come out, so the aluminium is wrapped round a piece of steel wire, and it basically gives it some rigidity because aluminium's not very strong, so and it finishes it off nicely. And when it comes down onto here, it's actually welded to the chassis. The end of the wire is just tacked to the chassis, so it's a tiny little detail that you only see on an alley car. So something else we found that's really quite rare to see on this is the clutch and the flywheel assembly. You can see that the flywheel and the clutch here is completely different to a 246. This was a really early sort of double mass flywheel sort of thing. It's got a big rubber sort of donut in the middle to dampen the clutch effect. Now, it's really rare to see some of these. Most of these have been converted to the 246, just normal clutch type, which you can do with a bit of machining here and there, but it's really rare to see an original one. So just coming around to this wheel arch, you can see the mess on the floor. This is the messy stage. When you're pulling old cars apart, there's dust and dirt and stuff that all falls out, so you're forever cleaning the floor. Something we have found on this is the wiring loom. Now, the wiring loom's been cut completely and someone's remade half a wiring loom on this. So we sort of untaped it all, and you can see here what's happened is this is all completely burnt and shorted out. So what we think's probably happened in the past, because it goes behind the petrol tank, this has probably shorted maybe on the exhaust or the alternator or something, and luckily the whole car didn't go up in smoke. So what someone's done, they've just cut it off and then they've remade this complete spaghetti of wiring loom with, they must have used miles of tape to do this. So we're going to put a new wiring loom anyway, so this goes to a whole new level now. We've got to see how far it goes down the front and where they joined it all, but it was lucky the car didn't go up. So one of the areas of corrosion that we've come across before is boot floor. So these have like a fiberglass top, then there's a layer of sort of airspace with usually a load of loft insulation in there and some metal braces, and then there's another piece that goes down to the bottom. So if we lift this up, Will can got his gloves on, we'll lift this out. Stand out of the way. Blimey. Well, that uncovered another load of corrosion. You can see why we do these restorations now. So the bits of metal that are supposed to hold that floor up have just completely disintegrated. There's nothing left of them. So we'll have to fabricate those back in again, because there's supposed to be sort of ribs on those, otherwise as soon as you put your luggage in, it's just going to sink down on the floor. So one of the other bits that we had to focus on whilst we're at the back of the car is glass. Now we obviously have to get the glass out of this thing. Now glass is extremely expensive to get made. The curvature, especially the rear screens on Dinos, you can't get the glass anymore. You might get a second-hand one. They just don't exist. I think I've spoken about this before. So getting the glass out, this has also got the matching original etchings on all the side glasses and the screens and everything. So getting the glass out. We found that, like this on the front, the screen had just been stuck in with a whole load of mastic. The rubber had been sort of split and what have you, so it was just completely stuck in. The rubber on the back was all split, so we sacrificed the rubber. I can buy rubber, but I can't get a glass, so we had to literally cut this out with a knife, bit by bit by bit, cut the rubber out inch by inch, bit by bit, till the rubber came out, then get the chrome trim out, and then remove the glass, because we had to save the glass at all costs. So that was quite a long thing to do, but sometimes you have to approach things differently when you just cannot get a glass. Whatever happens, you've got to protect it. So another area that's relatively unseen until you get the door cards off is obviously inside the doors. And you can see in here, we've got an aluminium door skin over a steel door frame. So every time you get steel and aluminium together, obviously you get electrolysis and then you get corrosion. Not only that, all doors leak. So that on the window that goes up and down. It's not a tight seal here, so every time it gets wet, the water will go through the top here and into the bottom of the door, which is why the bottoms of the doors always rot out on any old classic car. It's just the way they are. So this one, you can see the bottom tray's all gone. It's full of rust and corrosion, so that'll all get cut out and replaced. Something else that I think I'll mention now, because I know someone's going to pick it up on the first video, so by the time this comes out, the gear lever. This has got the wrong gear lever on. Wooden steering wheel's correct, wooden gear lever's wrong. They have a distinct plastic gear lever which is only found on this car, on a 206, and they're ridiculously hard to find. I think last time we had one made, so we're going to go on the hunt for gear lever knobs again as well, because that one is wrong. Okay, so what we've done, we've now moved the car off the hoist. Whilst it's on the hoist, it's very easy to drain all the fluids out, oils, waters, petrol, that sort of stuff. But then we move it into this bay. So we tend to sort of work in an area for a car. So this is now the 206 area. So all these shelves have only got 206 bits on that are all going to get refurbished or made a decision on in some shape or form. So everything for this car is in this area. And we found all sorts on this. So there's some really good stuff. There's some quite scary stuff, and there's some quite funny stuff as well. So let's start with the really good stuff. All the cars we look for is all about authenticating the car, and we've all heard about talking about matching numbers. So when the cars are built, because these are hand-built cars, anything that comes off of the car and has something else done, the factory numbered them before it got a chassis number. So anything loose pieces like this, so we've got body number 35 stamped on here. So when that was made, it was made for this car. So if you can find the numbers, likewise, this is the bit that goes inside the door behind the door catch. And if you look down the bottom, 35. So the more 35s we can find on this car, the more original. So that's been there since 1968. Chrome trims are the same, because these are all sort of just trimmed to size a little bit. Again, 35 stamped on there. This is the part that holds the rear quarter light glass in around the rear panel. Again, stamped in 35. So we're really starting to find a lot of numbers on this. So this is a good sign that this car's really original. Kick plates, again, aluminium kick plates, and these have still got the little bits of wood on. It seems bizarre that people have asked me before, there's always a gap between the body and the kick plate on these, and the factory used to do them with these little blocks of wood, and that's all they use, blocks of wood. We've done them later with like bits of plastic and things, but that's original, and we know it's original because it's got 35 on it. So yeah, they did use little bits of wooden spacers on these early cars. Other stuff we found is a fuel banjo here. A, it's broken, and B, it's absolutely full of just rubbish and stuff. So we'll cut the bottom of the tanks off and see what's going on, but this fuel system clearly was never going to work. Okay, so now on to some of the more unusual things we found. So unusual, but not that uncommon. Clearly something's been living in here. Behind the dashboard, this is where the dashboard is, it's full of chewed nuts. You can see there's all little teeth marks, and there's also a whole load down there underneath the wiper motor and things. So something's been living in here. A, it's bad, and B, it's also been munching its way through the wiring loom. We get a lot of this, especially with cars that have been stored. Animals crawl up into the V of engines, and it's a nightmare. They chew through everything, whether it's rubber hoses, vacuum pipes, or wiring looms. They tend to like making nests out of them. So clearly there's something been living in this one, and it's had a right little nest behind the dashboard. All old cars, I mean, this is a 1968 car, so you expect to find some stuff on wiring looms. So you've got the sort of fuse board here that looks old, and it is old, and there's all sorts of old wires around the back here. The bit that makes this different, and it's sort of had a double whammy, this is the area in the middle where the mice or whatever's been living, and it's chewed through this wiring loom. So someone's been in here and had a go at repairing it, and there's all sorts of terminals and added bits, and it's a complete mess. But the other bit we found on this is the whole back of the loom has had a fire at some stage, and it's just been chopped off. So this car they cut both ends off. What we think's happened is the bit that's in the engine bay has touched something, but you can see it's all burnt and melted. We've spoken before about cars catching fire, and we did a demo out in the car park, if you watch on the other videos, of how quick this stuff goes up. So what someone's done, they've chopped the middle section out of the wiring loom, and then they've added it all in, and there's bits of tape, there's bits at the back with bits added on. So this really is a complete disaster, this wiring loom. We're just going to have to start from scratch on this one. But the fact that the car didn't go up in smoke and it's still here and it's still got all these matching numbers is good. Something that I have noticed on this, and I must admit I haven't seen this before, bit geeky, blue terminals. On some of the bits of this wiring loom that are original, and generally the bit out the front's quite original, but the rest of it's toast, is these little blue terminal covers. And Daytona's did this. Daytona's wired the fuse boards with red ones. I'm wondering if 206s, I've never seen them before, run with blue, or this particular car, because these are tucked away behind the dashboard that have been there for years. And the majority of this fuse board, you can see the bits that have been repaired and the bits that haven't been repaired have still got the blue terminals on. So a bit of investigation there, but we could end up buying some blue terminals to keep this authentic. So we're going to carry on stripping this one down now. We've got a few more bits to go, the suspension to come off, obviously the engine to come out, and then it would be a position to start talking to the media blasters of how we're going to media blast this car.